start things off by just introducing yourself, telling people what you do.
Yeah. What's going on? This is Lecrae. I'm an MC from Reach Records, and I do music that is infused with the truth of Scripture and Christianity. So, yeah.
Talk about how you got started doing music and kind of what your story is about that.
Man, I started doing music. I've been involved with music, just period, since I was a kid. I didn't actually... I used to rap just about life and just the realities that I experienced, and I may have embellished it some back then. But then, right after high school, I became a Christian. Heard the gospel through some guys who were unsuspecting-looking individuals, and they were Christians, and then my reality changed. And so, what I began to communicate was just the reality of Christ and the reality of just a world that through a Christian lens, and so been doing that ever since.
All right, you just released an album, Rebel,
yeah.
Recently, not like last week or something like that.
Right.
Talk about the writing process for that, what that was all kind of about, and just kind of what you did to get that album out.
Rebel. Basically, I had been listening to a sermon series from a pastor in Seattle named Mark Driscoll from Mars Hill, and it really was encouraging because he just talked about how rebelliousness was generally seen as some kind of sin or whatnot, but there's in this day and age when everyone is doing it, everyone is trying to push it to the limit in terms of how much trouble they can get into. Really, the real rebels nowadays are those who go against the grain of the culture. And so I just wanted to articulate that from a biblical perspective. You look at Jesus and how he was a rebel against the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the Zealots and whatnot. And then, you just look at the life he lived and how it was rebellious in many people's eyes, up to the point to where they killed him because they thought he was just this rebel against the culture. And so I think anybody who's following the scriptures is going to be looked at in that way. So
your album, the sound of it is huge, just
wow.
massive, right?
Wow.
What did you do that intentionally, or is that just kind of your style, or was it kind of like on this one, like we're gonna go for broke and we're just gonna kill it, like try to make it as big as possible?
I definitely wanted. I wanted to put. For me, I wanted to put as much into every track as I possibly could.
Yeah.
So just and the content was so heavy. It was kind of like some of them just needed explosive tracks, and that's always what I've kind of done well with. And so it was really an album of just tracks that I just kind of sat with for a while and listened to them and thought of concepts and things like that, and then just wrote. So I spent about 2 weeks writing and about a month recording, and it was done.
We just talked to Trey 9 pretty extensively about kind of the evolution of like believer hip hop and holy hip hop and stuff like that. What's kind of your feelings on like the industry's view on believers who are making hip hop?
Yeah, I think it's good and bad. I think there should be a stigma when it comes to believers or Christians, but at the same time, I think that a lot of I think we instantly get pigeonholed or put into a weaker than or lesser than category when somebody says, Christian hip hop or gospel rap or holy hip hop or things along those lines. And so a lot of times I wish there was a way to take some of the negative connotations away from that. Not negative in terms of, yes, I'm going to talk about Jesus, but negative in terms of we expect your music to be subpar. And that's kind of the frustration for me. And so I've really, myself and my crew take it upon ourselves personally to challenge each other as much as possible to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward in terms of the quality of the music. So,
well, actually, that was about something I was going to ask you about, because the digital age of music, the technology that we have access to now, has really kind of made that more possible. Some of the earlier guys that just didn't have the good studio and the good stuff like that. How has that affected you? Do you have more hands-on on your sound because of the technology that's available to you?
I think absolutely. I think because of the technology that's available, and because of the internet and the accessibility of it, and just people can learn a craft and really begin to hone it and spend more time doing it, in their free time. You can do it from home now versus spending all night in the studio away from family or whatnot. And so I think there's that element, and then there's just encouraging a lot of these young guys and to make those investments, because now what used to cost you $6,000 can cost you $600, and you can get the same type of sound. And so just encouraging them to invest it and go out and grow in your craft.
What would be like if you had to tell somebody that was watching you and wanting to do hip hop and do it through the channels that you've done it, what would be something to watch out for, to maybe that you didn't know when you first started out that you would want to tell people to watch out for?
I definitely say this: scrutiny. Be prepared. If you're going to fillet yourself and give yourself open to the general public, you're opening yourself up for scrutiny and for people to just make judgments and kind of assume different things. And so that's going to come with the territory, and just realizing that that you're putting out a message, Lord willing, that is accurate, biblically accurate. And if it is biblically accurate, it's ultimately going to challenge people and change people's lives, and just being able to deal with the responsibility of that as well. I was fortunate to have people like Ambassador who prepared me to deal with the weight of people almost looking at you from a pastoral perspective. And so just being able to stay grounded and stay focused so that I could be able to navigate in those worlds and be able to counsel people if necessary. So
all right, man. Are we doing okay?
No, we're at papers. Gotta switch over.
Okay. Tell me. Okay. Last thing, you're about to go on a pretty big tour. I've been seeing the promos for it. You guys are booking it right now. Kind of talk about that and how that got started and what that is hopefully going to end up being.
I think the big thing when you talk about music industry, you're talking about an industry that really sets an artist up to fail in every area but their career. It's set up so you fail in terms of your family, in terms of just your time, your energy. It's really set up to spend you so that the label benefits, and so you're expendable. And what we've done is we've tried to manipulate the variables to work in our favor and in the Lord's favor. And so we've done a tour. We've teamed up with the ministry, Desiring God, and called the tour the Don't Waste Your Life Tour. And for them, they've had a huge impact in a lot of areas except for the urban area. And so we've teamed up with them because we obviously have a significant impact in the urban arena. And at the end of it, we want to provide tools, curriculum, and resources for ministries and people out there who show up for the tour, but then also provide quality music and a great show that will challenge them to not waste their lives, and to really just give it all out, pour it all out.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts?
Now, just anybody who comes across or who listens, I would just encourage them to not see this music as just just music in and of itself, but really there is a message that is ancient and that is truthful and that is life altering if people will take the time to sit and think through it and meditate on it. So
well, cool, man. Thanks for sitting down with us.
My pleasure. Appreciate you.